Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about Aecon. Aecon, we purchased clients a block trade, I guess, back in a year ago, Jeff,
It
about a year
was
ago.
end of July of last year.
Yeah, and we bought it at a price of about 10.55. And
Correct.
today Aecon's up a little bit. We're up
A little
to
bit.
about 18. Yeah, okay, a lot. 18 and a half. So pretty good. Despite they had some, I guess, quarterly review come out with poor results. And maybe that's got something to do with the lagging or the delayed poor projects. I think we've touched on this before. So they've got the Coastal Gas Link out in BC is complete.
Yeah.
So that should be adjusting things in the near future. And then the other one was the other three, Eglinton Light Rail Transit and the Finch LRT Toronto. So that's all delayed,
Oh,
causing
yeah.
grief.
Well, if you live in Toronto, you're frustrated by the Eglinton LRT. That thing was supposed to be finished, I think it was back in 2019 or 2020. And here we are
Right.
4 years later, and they're still not done,
Is
but they're
there
getting
any?
there. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
getting there. It's supposed to be finished next year.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But I
We'll
will
wait
just
and see.
last point on that. If you're familiar with anyone familiar with Yonge and Eglinton will know that the past decade, that intersection has been filled with construction, and just crossing the street is a challenge. But last time I was there, which was a month or two ago, it's back to normal. So
Yeah.
I almost
Well,
didn't
that's
rec
good.
I don't recognize it now with
Okay.
construction equipment all removed.
Mm. Okay. So they might have it complete by 2025,
Yeah. And then there's
right?
one more.
Here's hoping. And the last one's the Gordie Howe International Bridge that's
Hmm.
crossing from Windsor to Detroit. And that's almost complete.
Yeah.
There's a estimate of 2025 as well.
Yeah. They'll be finished 2025. And Windsor has one bridge, one tunnel connecting itself with Detroit, the
Mhm.
Ambassador Bridge, and what's the tunnel called? Just the Windsor Tunnel?
Yeah,
Yeah. You
well,
used to
there's
live
a,
there. How often would you go to Detroit?
I went often enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually took the Ambassador Bridge.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on where I was going, which
Right.
highway I needed or which location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're about to get a third. I saw they connected it in the last few weeks.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
I'm not an expert on building bridges, but I mean, it looks it looks pretty much complete
Yeah.
to me. I think they have to install a lot of, pipes for drainage when there are storms and
Yeah. Well, I think they're down to the final nitty gritty of getting the electrician, the electrical, the drainage, sprucing everything up around, finishing up buildings, things like that on both sides.
right.
So I think yeah, huge
Yeah.
undertaking. It'll be fantastic for the area.
Yeah. So the reason this caused problems with Aecon were those three projects we just discussed were signed using a fixed cost methodology, meaning that Aecon was
Mm,
told how many dollars and cents it would receive for their work on these projects. What happened was there was major cost overrun, and so they've taken a huge write down on them. What you want to have in these situations is cost plus, so that if there's
mm.
overrun, you're compensated for it. So they, as you mentioned, reported dreadful earnings about a year ago. The stock dropped about 16%, and it was because those three projects
Contracts.
plus the Coastal Gas Link in BC were just a black box. Nobody knew when the losses would end. So we bought it after that. And the reason was because we knew eventually they'll finish the projects.
Right.
And so yeah, we bought it
And they have an additional four projects, at least four projects in the pipeline that are,
yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah,
that's
they have.
exciting.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So the reason we bought it was because these four projects were causing problems. We knew they would finish eventually, and it was paying a 7% dividend yield at the time. So we knew if we
Mm,
just waited it out, we're getting nice income until they, get their construction complete. So now
yeah.
that the stock's up 80%, what do we do with it? We're going to hold it because of
Hmm.
the pipeline you just mentioned.
Right. And there
They've
was a dividend adjustment because of the price escalating, right? So the dividend came down a little bit.
Right, because the price went up so much.
Yeah.
Right now, they've got a backlog of projects amounting to about $6.1 billion. To put
Mm,
that into perspective, that's about a year and a half worth of revenue. But they've got 4 or 5 projects that are in the development stage that are not included
mm,
in that backlog. If they move forward and become part of the backlog, that $6 billion will double. That
right.
would be a huge catalyst for the stock. And these are
Yeah.
projects related to, I think I saw the Scarborough subway expansion, other transit expansions. There's an airport or two in the US,
Right.
and there was a nuclear project.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, the yields come down to 4%. So for new clients, it's not as exciting to buy it here, but we're not going to sell it because of that potential for the backlog to significantly increase from here.
Hmm.
And once those 3 projects finish, that provides more transparency on the earnings.
Right.
I will say,
Right.
watching these kinds of companies, the quarterly earnings are very lumpy. They're up, down. There's no clear trend. It's more
Yeah.
difficult to predict how they will do quarter to quarter. But there's a
Yeah.
major need for new infrastructure, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
There's no shortage.
yeah. So that's Aecon, and I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Today was
think
back to
so.
school. So this
Back
is,
to school, back to routine.
yeah,
Yep.
back to
It's
school
busy.
and back to work. So,
Right.
all right.
Welcome
Okay.
back.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Sunny.
Okay, thanks.